Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Shazad Hussain and I live at 20 Primary Way, Bradford, Undercliff. And today it's been now 131 days since my brother has been unlawfully human trafficked, kidnapped, and abducted from my care and his home by the local authority, Bradford Council, and in collaboration with their partners, West Yorkshire Police, since the 8th of August 2023. And I have absolutely no idea what kind of condition they're holding him under, where he's gone, what kind of, and they've subsequently put bail conditions upon me whilst the local authority are instructing West Yorkshire Police to carry out a criminal investigation against me for neglect. Check this out. For neglect what? For neglect whom? They had stolen my brother's benefit money for the last 5 years, or if not more, since 2016. My brother's not had any since 2016. My brother's not had any access to his own benefit money or unfettered access to his own benefit money. And now all of a sudden the local authority have accumulated over what they openly declare as over £120,000. It's a lot more money than that. A lot more. It's maybe £500,000 that they've taken off my brother and are committing fraud against him and refusing to let me see him, and now are holding him hostage and detained in some unknown location. They've basically kidnapped him and are made them their own private property. I'm just mindful of the fact that even if he was kidnapped by a terrorist organization, which is openly declared as a terrorist organization in the West, and by the UK government, the Hamas terrorist group have released hostages. And ultimately, I think I was reading in the news yesterday that Israel soldiers, the Israeli Defense Force, IDF, have effectively friendly fired and killed off hostages themselves. So they've killed off their own hostages. They've killed off their own civilians that were being held hostage by Hamas. This is the level of incompetence. I mean, just the irony is not lost upon me. And so similarly, in a similar vein, the local authority are now effectively going to end up murdering my family members and state, oh, it was just this or that. They've already murdered my mother and brother and father, and now they've kidnapped my brother Talib, and they won't refuse to even engage with me. I've now sent about over 60 messages to not over 107 or 8 messages to social workers, 60 messages to the solicitors, and daily sending messages, requests for a telephone contact from West Yorkshire Police, PC Jodie Clifford, all simply refusing to engage with me, sitting behind the corporate veil now that they've messed up, and hoping for the situation to deteriorate, looking to make me the easy scapegoat for their systemic failures in adult social care. It's simply disgusting and deplorable that I'm once again placed into this situation. But this is not the first time or the last time I'm going to be put into this situation, because I'm simply looking to be open and transparent and expose the fraud and corruption and lies and deceptions, and the inabilities to provide care and support services where they have a duty of care to vulnerable people. They cannot fulfill that duty of care. They can't even fulfill the duty of care to their own the children that they forcibly take from parents in order to run this racketeering game of foster care where they can make more money out of the situation. This is a situation that they've created. It's a lot worse than adult social care. If you think about it, it's childcare services have a lot more public interest and a public connection with children, whereas with adults, or elderly, or particularly the disabled, those are a much more closer, smaller group, and it's far worse because they're quite happy for people to deprive them of the care, so they eventually end up dying, and then they work with the hospitals, the healthcare professionals, the West Yorkshire Police, and they run and own their own coroner's office, which they can then use to murder and end up here killing people off. So this is the situation. They all want full control of the situation. They've created a nice little scam or a setup which allows them to not only murder or end up killing the elderly and the disabled, but financially plunder and profiteer from them, particularly since they're on the brink of bankruptcy. Now, in our particular case, today is the 17th of December 2023. It's the Deca anniversary or 10-year anniversary of when I was first arrested by West Yorkshire Police and my home raided and my safe from my bedroom taken, which they have still not given back to me. The jewelry from my bedroom taken, everything was stolen from us, and 10 years later we have no idea what's happened with this. And this is the situation with them. 10 years later, they're not refusing to even tell me about the contents of my safe that they've taken from my bedroom. They broke into it. They've taken over £35,000. They've taken all our jewelry and valuable and everything else they've taken from us, and they're refusing to give me any indication of what's happened with our private property. And that was 10 years ago. So once again, what they did there, as they have now done into August 2023, as they had previously done in December 2002, which is now 21 years ago, is that they always, when they get frightened or when they get realized that somebody's going to whistleblow on their failures and highlight it and make it public, what they use is they abuse their position of power and authority and associates that they have, particularly West Yorkshire Police, to come and arrest the person to basically buy themselves more time. That's what they did 10 years ago in 2017, when I was going to whistleblow on the fact that they had been mismanaging public money and not auditing payments that they were paying to my brother in direct payments, and as a result of which they had got the police involved, wrongfully arrested me, and then subsequently pursued criminal proceedings against me when there was clearly found no drugs. They are basically using the police to find any drugs upon me so that they can then look to criminalize me for that. Luckily for me, I've got nothing to do with drugs, and they can come and waste their time and resources as they have been doing. But the bottom line is, now it's been 131 days that my brother's been kidnapped, held hostage by the local authority without my awareness or understanding of where he is, and there's no end in sight. They're simply going to murder him off, and I'm screaming and shouting and leaving him daily messages. I leave 4 messages every single day. One to his social worker, one to the city solicitor, one to the housing association solicitor, and one to West Yorkshire Police, all being deliberately ignored. In addition to this, I also leave a daily message to the Courts and Tribunal Services, Louise Holmes, who is a manager at the Courts and Tribunal Services, Bradford County Court, who are equally ignoring me. I also leave a daily message to my own former GP. I also leave a daily message to my previous GP, who is also equally ignoring me. Everybody's simply ignoring me. I also I'm in direct contact with the Leeds Probate Office, who are aware of who I am and my situation, and they are equally ignoring me. As previously, the Department of Work and Pension was ignoring me. Everybody's ignoring me because they're all taking instructions and directions from Bradford Council in order to continue this facade or deception or contrivance or veneer of respectability that they can continue to expound out to the rate-paying members of the public that they are collecting council tax and needing to collect council tax for the benefit of providing social care for the weak and the elderly, when the reality is that they're abusing and exploiting and torturing the weak and elderly and utilizing public money, council taxpayer money, in order to achieve this, and yet have a veneer of respectability and an emblem of civility, whilst at the same time torturing us. I am being tortured, psychologically being tortured. My brother's now being psychologically tortured. My mother was psychologically tortured to death over the last 334 days of her life, when the local authority had bought off senior justices in the High Court, particularly Mr. Justice Cobb and Mr. Justice Cohen, whom they had privately commissioned out to achieve their nefarious objectives. They are basically abusing and weaponizing the court system. They are abusing and weaponizing the independence of the judiciary. They are abusing and weaponizing the police force. They are abusing weaponizing the court system. In that particular case, the head of the Her Majesty's Courts and Tribunal Services, namely one Mr. Nick Goodwin, who was previously the public guardian, has resulted in my mother's death. So they had previously previously weaponized and abused the position and power of and authority of the public guardian. There is not an organization that the Bradford Council will not collude and conspire with in order to achieve this objective. They're colluding and conspiring with the Care Quality Commission. They're colluding and conspiring with the Information Commissioner's Office. They're colluding and conspiring with the Department of Work and Pension, to name only a few that I have now clearly witness of. There are maybe other organizations that they are colluding and conspiring with, but most importantly, not only do they collude and conspire with corporate organizations or public corporate organizations, as I've mentioned, not to mention the private corporations such as Manningham Housing Association, but most importantly, they're colluding and conspiring with my own siblings, and I'll name all of them. They're colluding and conspiring with their council tenant, my sister Shahida B of 38 Gwyn Avenue. They're colluding and conspiring with my nefarious brother Adala Hussain of 8 Granton Street. They're colluding and conspiring with my elderly sister, who's quite villainous, who has a son who has mental health problems, over 802 Great Horton Road, all in Bradford. They're all then colluding and conspiring with my nieces and nephews, Wasim, Tasveer and Shagufta. They're colluding and conspiring with my neighbors, my relatives, my friends and family, everybody and anybody. They just need to maintain this facade, and it's getting more and more difficult as the days go by to maintain this, especially now that they're on the brink of bankruptcy, because all they can do is they don't even want to use their own money. They want to use their position of authority and influence in order to maintain this facade, and this facade is going to fall apart. They've put me into prison, degraded and humiliated me, murdered my father, murdered my mother, murdered my older brother, kidnapped my second brother, all these horrendous crimes that they're committing, and yet there's nobody looking to take them to account, because they can simply do as they please, and they know this because of the fact that everybody colludes and conspires, and inshallah they will fall apart as they are now doing, because they've got no money, and these austerities are going to expose their previous villainous actions and show their true face and true colors, which obviously I'm looking to expose. It's now been 131 days. It's simply deplorable that I have no idea where my brother is. I don't even know if he's alive or dead, and I'm the greatest stakeholder in his welfare, and everybody is now giving me the silent treatment in order to psychologically torture me. Absolutely horrendous.